And welcome back to Let's Play Blightfall. Okay, so last time we did a bunch of stuff to kind of make what I would call general progress towards kind of equipping ourselves to go out into the world and have a little bit more success than we have been having. So what we're going to do this time here is just finish up a little bit of that. You know, just take some stuff out of these furnaces. I don't really need these objects per se, but what we do need are these this cooked grout that we made last time, which turned into seared bricks. Now, just a reminder that the grout is made by combining one block of sand, clay, and gravel, and that'll give you 2 grouts, and then you cook it in a furnace and you get seared bricks. So I've got 3 stacks here. I've got some glass as well, and we're going to make the components to a smeltery now. So I'm doing first the smeltery controller. It's just made using a circular pattern like this. But you know, let me step back here. So you put some glass in the middle, you get yourself a seared tank, and then if you could do these sort of channeled ones with glass down the middle, you get these seared windows. That should be all the glass we need, I think. So we're gonna grab some more, and let's do some regular blocks now. We're gonna need a bunch of those, so I'm just gonna make 16 of those. And then we're going to need some things to pour the metal out. So this is a seared, or a smeltery drain rather. And we're going to need to make some faucets to go on those drains. So we'll have the corresponding number of those. And then we're going to need a couple things to drain the metal into. So we're going to need a casting table and a casting basin. Now, what I was going to say a minute ago was that, you know, I think that most people in Blightfall are going to go ahead and make this manually like I'm doing here. And I think it's good to review, you know, your tinker's skills like this and go ahead and make them manually, because the resources that you need to do so are not that hard to find, to be honest, although it's a little dangerous to go out and find them. But another viable strategy would be to go off to one of the villages and to steal one of their setups down there. So, I don't know if I can't remember if I had the berry bush last time, but I had a supplier give me a seed bag, and one of the seed bags contained that essence berry bush. Those berries from that bush will give you experience if you eat them, so that's what I just did there. So I'm thinking about where to place this smeltery now, and I'm kind of thinking it'd be kind of cool to have it kind of coming underground and maybe eventually popping up out of the ground like a smokestack kind of a thing. You know, it doesn't really matter. You can place it above ground. The first time I ever played this, I distinctly remember placing mine above ground, and it definitely took up some space, and so I think that's why I'm thinking about doing it down here. So I'm just kind of plotting the size of this room right now, and yeah, it's, you know, it's nice to mine out a little place. And by the way, you can tell I'm using a dark wood pickaxe here, which is kind of, again, the wood in this is weird, and it's not even just this. I think it's similar in, in any pack that includes these woods, which I think are they from Natura, I think? I believe they're added by Natura, and some of them are nether woods, like the bloodwood, for example. In fact, the stronger ones are definitely nether woods, and maybe that sort of in-game explains why they're so strong. But anyway, I'm just carving out a little area here for this smeltery. I know I explained this, but let me just reiterate that because the fact that the woods in this mod pack are a little bit overpowered, I've chosen to not use them to get around the metal progression. I will use them to save resources, because essentially how that would work is that the equivalent metal of any particular wood, I might just use the wood because it's renewable. Metal is not, and it takes a little bit more effort to get the metal and so forth. For example, I think this dark wood, or whatever it's called, that I'm using right now, I think it mines at the equivalent level of like iron. I could be wrong. I should probably double check that. I wish I had a cough button. Anyway, the so if it's iron, that's a pretty good pretty good, thing to have. But the blood wood that we grew, that we got in the seed bag or the sapling bag last time, and that you saw at the beginning of this video, well, that's, I can tell you right now for sure, mine's at the equivalent level of steel. Now, we haven't gotten steel yet, which is why I'm reluctant to make a steel pickaxe, even though it'd be a lot easier to make a steel pickaxe than it would be, for example, to use my tools to make this smeltery and create an iron one. Even though the iron one's weaker, it's a lot easier to create the equivalent of the steel one there with that bloodwood tree you see off to the right there. So I'm nonetheless choosing to do the smeltery method, even though the bloodwood would obviate the need to even do that, because I feel that it's not good role-playing. I feel like it's kind of cheaty. I feel like it's not the right thing to do. So that's why I'm choosing to stay with, use wood, of course, just as sort of a basic tool and sort of to save on metal resources, but not to skip ahead prematurely beyond whatever metallurgical age, if you will, that I'm already in. In other words, I need to advance metallurgically with metal, not wood. Once I advance, I'm going to allow myself then, and only then, to utilize the equivalent woods from that age, if that makes any sense. I think you follow. Okay, so as you can see, I'm working on clearing out this little room here. It's it's kind of one of the things about digging underground. It's, well, in addition to being therapeutic, which I think most Minecrafters will understand, and beautiful in some ways. Just the geometry of digging can be very rewarding, just aesthetically. But one thing that Etho said in one of his recent videos, he had a world tour recently. I don't know if y'all follow Etho's Lab, but it's probably my favorite YouTuber with regard to Darkwood here. So he has a massive world that he's been doing for several years on vanilla Minecraft, and he said that he built his base underground because at the time he started building it several years ago, he was not a very good builder. And he said that, the nice thing about building underground is that you don't have to be such a good builder. You're not really building, you're just modifying a space, carving it out, and that's apparently easier. So, kind of cool, I guess, that's how he was thinking about it. But anyway, that's one advantage of digging underground here, is that I don't have to worry about building like a house or something. And one, in fairness, I suppose, in Blightfall here, is that you don't really need to build a base right away. You're given a base, a dome, which is a kind of cool concept, and you can kind of pimp it out if you really want to, but anyway. So I'm creating a little crafting station here that I'm going to set in right about here, and use that to make a few additional things with my remaining seared bricks. By the way, I talked about the method of making seared bricks using grout by combining sand, clay, and gravel and cooking it. But I think many of you will also know that once you have your sort of minimum smeltery built, you can simply cook up some cobblestone, and that will turn into seared bricks that you can then smelt or dry out in casts and then combine to make these objects. So basically what I'm saying is you don't really need to make full-blown you don't have to go through the longer and more tedious process of making the grout every time. You can make a small smeltery using that process and then turn around and use this other method, which is a little bit maybe less efficient resource-wise, but it's certainly less dangerous. It's a lot easier, for example, to get cobblestone, even if you have to get a little bit more of it to get the equivalent amount of bricks. It's easier and probably less dangerous. So, okay, so what I'm doing here, by the way, just kind of catch you up here, is I'm trying to space out where I want my faucets to go, and I had a little glitch there because I put the space where the drains would go a little bit too close. So as you can see, this is what it would look like, except for the fact that now I've exceeded the width of my smeltery base, which is that 2x2 area there. on the other side of those drains, well, that's where my smeltery is going to be, and I just need to calibrate where these drains are going to be positioned. So a little process here, but I've almost got it. I think I've got it now. So we've got these two drains facing outward, and then we're going to put the side ones facing the same direction. You can totally do that, just like that. So you might think you have to place the drain facing parallel with, or directly into the thing. No, you can have it coming out the side as long as the block is in the correct place. Doesn't matter which direction the faucet faces. You can even have one that faces backwards and faces inside your smeltery, so that you can put. I get what I've never done it, but apparently you can drain liquids into the smeltery, as opposed to what I almost always do, which is just put solids in the smeltery and drain the liquids out. So anyway, so we got the 2x2 bottom area there. I put the smeltery controller there, which is where we're going to be doing all of our controlling work. And then I'm going to put a tank, a couple tanks here. And then I'm going to put bricks and windows in for the rest of it, just to finish this out. But what you really need are a base and then walls on on 4 sides, going up at least 1 block in height. You need at least 1 controller, 1 tank, 1 drain with a faucet and some sort of basin to drain into. And that is your most basic smeltery. Now this one's more advanced because I've got a lot more blocks on it. And frankly, you could make this 3x3 and that would actually be more efficient resource-wise. But I kind of like this design. I kind of like the 2x2 feel here in this little room. It feels kind of cozy and cool, and frankly, it'd be kind of fun to make the stack go way up. So if I were going to do 3x3 though, that's how big it would be. And that's fine. You can totally do that. But I'm going to stick with the 2x2 for now. I might expand it later, but we'll see. I kind of like the idea of a really skinny, even slightly less efficient, but really skinny stack going up. So if I build it up to a 3 block height here, that means if you can kind of visualize the space inside, if you think about the base, it's 2x2, which is 4 blocks total, going up 3 in height, so that's 12 blocks total, right? 3 times 4. And so that means that I can cook up to 12 blocks of ore at a time, which is really cool. So anyway, I'm going to just make a little more space around this thing because I want to have a little bit more wiggle room to move around it, a little more comfort, I think I might carve out a little bit more, but I'm trying to think of where that would likely end up if I had it pop through to the surface, and it would be right over there by that maple tree, actually. So what I'm doing now is I came up here to because we don't have any way of operating our smeltery yet. So like I said, we need a couple buckets, and I made some shears as well. And what we need to do, and my jungle tree grew, by the way, and that was something I was working on, and that's something that I'm going to be doing for a while in this Let's Play, is using the surface of my dome as a tree growing space, because I don't have to worry about getting blocked off by the ceiling like I did in the previous episodes. But if you remember from episode 3, I think, the digging episode, which again is a little bit long, and I'm guessing you might have wanted to skip ahead a little bit on that one. I might go back and redo that one, who knows. But as you recall, there was this big pool of lava down here. Well, what we need to do probably is find a way to get down there without killing ourselves. And what we did to get back up when we fell was we simply blocked up. So we'll use those blocks just to get down, even if it's kind of a monotonous process. But I'm kind of filling in this gap so I don't fall again like last time. Don't worry, we're not going to be doing any mining today, or certainly not much. But we're gonna just head down and grab some lava now, and I'm just gonna go. I'll fill in the rest of that later. I just don't want to fall again like that one time. Okay, so we're gonna jump down, and this would be more efficient, let's say, if we had a faster pickaxe. But right now we don't. Now there's a couple ways you can get a faster pickaxe. One would be to go ahead and make it with a faster material like bloodwood that I was talking about earlier. Another way would be to add a modifier using Tinker's Construct. And in this case, the modifier would be redstone, which gives us haste. So eventually I will do that, but not right now. Okay, so I'm going to head back up. I've got 2 buckets of lava. That should be more than enough to get started, and eventually we'll make a tank and come down here and get a whole bunch of lava. I'll probably eventually exhaust that source of lava, and we'll have to find another one, but that's okay. It's pretty abundant, and actually if you were paying attention to my Y number just now, I think it went down to like 14 or something, so we're actually pretty low, pretty close to bedrock down there, which is kind of cool. Okay, so I'm going to head back up and jump back over to the smeltery. Where did I... Well, just before we... Well, I was going to say, I was tempted to chop down the bloodwood tree, but I remember what I said about not cheating using wood to advance to metal, so I'm going to hold off on that. Okay, so we're going to grab our stone here, and we're going to just throw stairs in there, and we'll do the rest of those. We'll probably use the rest of those stairs somewhere else to save energy, because, you know, if you have stairs, you don't have to jump, and jumping takes more energy than walking. So maybe I'll throw the stairs here, actually. I guess I'm going to move the ramp just slightly so I have a little bit more room to turn around down there. And let's just start at the bottom. Okay, and we've almost got it, and that's fine. That'll save us at least most of our jumping. And then I'm going to grab my ores from the mining expedition from episode 3, and we're going to head down and start cooking them up. So this is a very satisfying moment when you make your own Tinker's Construct smeltery to finally put your ores in the smeltery. You definitely want to be thoughtful, though. You don't want to mix a couple different ore types that will alloy that you don't want to alloy. So let's see here. For one thing, we do have some cobblestone, and I would like to get some of that cooking so I can get some more seared bricks and expand the thing. Now here is the copper, and that's going to be great. Definitely want that copper. And I'm going to put some of that tin in as well, and that's going to give me some bronze. And then what I don't necessarily want to do is use... So if I have bronze and if I put some iron in, it'll turn into Damascus steel, which is actually a really good way to get past iron in this game, because the alloy Damascus steel is actually tougher than iron. So that is an option. And there's our bronze, and there's a little bit of remaining tin. But oh, you know what I just realized? I just used up all my copper, and I didn't have any left over to make aluminum brass. Cripe. Okay, I can still make this work. What I really needed to do there was I needed to save some of the copper so I could use it to make aluminum brass, which I could then use to make a cast, an ingot cast, so that I could take out molten liquids 1 ingot at a time rather than in blocks. Right now I've got 18 ingots worth of bronze, which means that I'll have to take out blocks of bronze. I guess I'll go ahead and finish cooking up the tin, though, because it's not going to alloy now that I've used up all the copper. Let's go ahead and get this bronze out. Okay, that's fine. And then what I could probably do is go ahead and put... I could do some iron, or here's what we can do. So now that so you have to get 9 ingots at a time to make it work in these blocks like this. And since I don't have an ingot cast, that's really my only option for getting metal out of the smeltery right now. If I had an ingot cast, I could at least take it out one by one. And I also need a pickaxe cast, because that's going to allow me to make a pickaxe from a stronger metal. But the bronze will work, and we'll be able to use that to make, well, this particular pickaxe here. Unfortunately, without the copper, I really can't finish that quest. Well, no, I'm sorry. I already did finish that quest. So we are able to move on to bronze, but I still I didn't save enough for the cast, the ingot cast. So, just kind of recap, first you make your bronze pickaxe head. I'm sorry, your copper, using just copper that you could cook that up in a furnace, frankly. To make bronze, though, you really should use, and frankly, you should always use a smeltery because you get double ores. I don't know if I mentioned that, and I'm sure you're aware if you're familiar at all with these mods, but you get double. If you have one block of iron ore, you're going to get 2 iron ingots, whereas if you cook it in a furnace, you only get 1. So I'm putting some of the bronze back in here, and I'm throwing some cobblestone in as well so I can start making seared bricks to expand this puppy. I think I need to make a chest now to store some of this stuff. I'm going to just put it right here in the wall. I might not have enough wood, though. Yeah, I'm going to have to go grab some wood for that. That was starting to annoy me. Let's just grab some, here we go. Some oak planks and stuff. Okay. And we're gonna take our planks and make a couple chests and move them right down there. One thing that I really like about Terra Firma Craft that this and most mod packs don't have is that the wood, the various different types of wood in Terra Firma Craft make objects of that wood type all the way around. So in other words, I'm thinking chests in particular. You don't just make a chest in Terra Firma Craft, you make a oak chest or a maple chest or a Douglas fir chest. Okay, so we've got this Damascus steel that I was talking about earlier Now, like I said, this Damascus steel is, we just discovered it in our book down there, by the way. By the way, on the bottom left there, when it says you've discovered a particular metal, that just means you've put it in your inventory for the first time in ingot or block form. You can have metals in your smelter, and it's not going to think you've discovered them yet. But I went ahead and grabbed 3 of those Damascus steel ingots, and I made a pick with that. I'll use that Damascus steel pick to harvest some more advanced materials, platinum and things like that. Diamond, I think it can harvest. Okay, so we're going to get some of this iron out, and we're going to keep throwing cobblestone in. Eventually, I'm going to make a hopper, and the hopper is going to transmit things into the smeltery controller, and that way I can kind of have a queue of blocks yet to be smelted, so I don't have to wait around for the thing to fill up and manually put them in. I can just put them all in. It'll automatically hook them up as long as there's space and lava to do so. Okay. So we're going to take our tin, and I think we've got a pretty good handle on this metal now. So basically what we've done is we've created some metals, but we really haven't, well, I guess we have created a Damascus steel pickaxe now, which is the equivalent of, I believe it's actually the equivalent of steel, which is the equivalent of bloodwood, which means that I now feel comfortable, now that I've advanced legitimately up to Damascus steel, I feel comfortable if I wanted to go ahead and make something out of bloodwood. But I am going to go ahead and finish cooking up this iron, I think, just to keep that going. So we'll just grab some of this iron here. Now, each of these casting basins can hold up to 9 ingots worth of iron, and I think I'm going to be okay there because I think I had at least 27 ingots. Yeah, so those are all going to be fine. But if you don't have a full 9 ingots, you can make them using an ingot cast. I just don't have enough material to make that ingot cast yet. To make the ingot cast, you'd put the ingot, so just any random ingot, in your casting table, the shallow one there on the right, and pour either gold or aluminum brass over it. Speaking of gold, now that I have pickaxes of bronze and Damascus steel, either one of those can harvest gold, which is a great substitute for Damascus steel. So I went ahead and made a axe with the Damascus steel, and the reason I did that is because in order to chop down that bloodwood tree, I needed a stronger axe too. So that's why I did that. Now I'm going to go ahead and pour the rest of this iron out, and we're going to run upstairs and cut that bloodwood tree down, I think. Let's do a little inventory cleaning here first. But yeah, I think that's what we're going to do. we definitely need to start thinking about food, because right now our food resources are very limited. One thing I might consider doing is a little fishing. I don't have any animals right now. I have very basic crops. I've got wheat, basically, cabbage, I think, or is it broccoli? I can't. And then peas. I can make bread stuff. I've got a couple apples. Cotton you can't eat. It's a good crop, but you can't eat it. Got seeds. I've got zombie flesh, I guess. I'm just gonna do what I can to survive, but I might have to go to our supplier and grab some of the emergency rations. I've got some in my inventory already, but I think I'll try to hang on to that as long as I can, because if I can if I can save that until I need it, like let's say I'm out and about and I'm dying and I need to regenerate faster, I think it's wise to hold on to that. So yeah, so we got some of this broccoli, which is great. Broccoli was one of the first crops I got from the supplier. Okay, so I definitely want to chop down the bloodwood tree here. Now I think arguably I didn't go tall enough with my setup here, because the bloodwood tree, first of all, I got a really short bloodwood tree, and second of all, I can tell right now that I think it's touching the maybe it's not. I don't know. It's hard to say. Might be touching the ground. This is our jungle tree, by the way. I could go ahead and chop that down too while I'm up here. I really wish I had a lumber axe. I think I will go ahead and make a lumber axe. I'm going to grab one of these vines just to have, though. Vines have some usefulness in this. They're sort of ladders. They act as ladders like this. And they're also useful because when we get into Thaumcraft, it is one cheap way of getting herba essence, which is... and vines grow like themselves, so you don't have to tend to them very much. You just have to... Well, you have to harvest them, and that's where the rub is. Arguably, you can get more herba faster using leaves. But anyway, probably the fastest way to cut this guy down is going to be from the top-down approach here. I think I saw a video one time on YouTube about which is faster, cutting upwards using a spiral fashion on a 2x2 great tree like this, or whether going up to the top of it using ladders and cutting it down from the top was faster. And it was clear that the cutting it from the bottom up approach was actually faster, even though cutting it from the top down maybe feels faster, because you don't have to make a spiral pattern and come back and double back on it. You just cut. So anyway, hopefully I get enough saplings from this to sustain my junglewood growth operations and make another 2x2 giant junglewood tree. Junglewood is it's certainly in vanilla Minecraft the easiest way to get a lot of wood rather quickly. In modded Minecraft, I'm going to argue that great wood trees are probably more efficient than junglewood trees. Not only because, well, I mean, frankly, both the junglewood and the great wood, any 2x2 tree really, benefits greatly from a modded setting where you have the ability to chop an entire tree down by harvesting only one block of it, which is what Lumber Axe from Tinker's Construct does. But I'm going to say great wood because great woods grow faster than jungle woods, and you only need 1/4 of the number of saplings, and I would say they're maybe slightly more, or at least tied in the total number of wood blocks you get from them on average. I mean, some jungle woods are going to be taller and great woods are going to be shorter, but on average I think you're going to have more wood coming from a great wood than from a jungle wood. Okay, so I'm just chopping this guy down, but I'm going to use all this wood. I mean, I guarantee it. I'm going to use it for chests and for, like I said 2 episodes ago, I think, one of the biggest challenges in this Let's Play is going to be storage, and that's just always the case. Anytime you play Minecraft, especially modded Minecraft, storing items is always a challenge. That's why they have ME systems, which is a viable thing to do in this one, but truth be told, I don't know the first thing about that mod. I mean, I'm not a expert in that mod at all, so we may experiment with that. We may learn that one together, guys, but I don't know much about it. Okay, so I've already got my 4 replacement saplings. That's a good sign, and there's still tons of leaves still up there decaying. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and replant. I almost kind of want to plug that hole up. In fact, I kind of wonder why they left a hole in there when they designed this map. I don't know. Like, I wonder if it was sort of to be conceptually the place where air can get into the dome initially, or if it's conceptually allowing rain to come through, or if there's some sort of practical reason for it. I can't think of a practical reason for it. I'm using the dirt block skin to get out here. I think this is exactly how I put the nether block out here to begin with to grow this thing. But I needed to get out here anyway to cut this down. I can grab my Damascus steel axe. Now this bloodwood tree is going to take a minute to chop down because these bloodwood, what do you call them, planks or whatever. They're not planks, but the bloodwood tree core blocks are very hard. Like I said, it's the equivalent of steel. And so, it's a beautiful tree, and those blood leaves are kind of freaky, but it's extremely useful. And I think it's probably, when we start thinking about trees that you can get from the supplier, I think this is probably one of the most useful. Arguably slime trees are going to be very useful as well, but I think, yeah, I'd say if I absolutely had to have one tree in this game, it would be this one, bloodwood. And by the way, it goes without saying, obviously it grows upside down. Okay, the bloodwood, the leaves grow on the bottom and the trunk grows on the top, so they're literally hanging from a ceiling, growing downwards rather than the other way around. And I think that's kind of a neat concept, but it does create a logistical issue with lumber axes, because once we get our lumber axe, it's not going to be clear which side to chop from to cut the whole tree down. I think we have to chop from the bottom, which looks like the top, upside down, you know? So, as I finish chopping this tree down, you know, the couple of things to note. First of all, there's 2 different types of bark branches. There's this tiger skin looking one, and then there's the one with the inner core that we were chopping down a little bit up above there. And I think these ones down here are supposed to represent branches. The ones up top were supposed to represent the main trunk. But either way, they both turn into bloodwood planks, which is the thing that we actually use. It's a deep red type of plank. Even though the wood is more of a brown or beige, the planks are pretty red. Another thing to note is that the leaves not only produce bloodwood saplings, in abundance, I might add, but they also produce small amounts of redstone, which is useful for not just redstone creations, but also for modification of tinker's tools to make them faster, which is very useful. And eventually, you know, for potions and things like that, and whatever. I mean, redstone's one of the most useful things in the game, including in the modded game, so never a bad thing to have an extra source of redstone. Okay, so we've got most of these, but there's a few, and this is one of the problems with bloodstone, or one of the most annoying or bloodwood. One of the most annoying things about it is that it is difficult to find all of the little branches, because the leaves are pretty dark and the branch pieces are fairly camouflaged, especially when the lighting gets a little bit lower like this. So you kind of have to dig around sometimes, but you know, the truth is that this Damascus steel axe is now, since I've got bloodwood now, it's basically obsolete. It's basically the equivalent of the bloodwood, except for bloodwood, unlike Damascus steel, is really easy to create now and is renewable. And, well, it's just, and you don't have to have a tool forge, what's the, I can't remember the name now, but there, in Tinker's Construct, there's your, what's it called? Tool Builder and Tool Forge. One has iron blocks on it, the other one doesn't. You know, one's wood and one's iron. And it's whatever the iron one is that you need to make most advanced metal items in Tinker's Construct. But since bloodwood is a wood, even though it's as strong as steel, you don't need to use the forge. You just have to use a basic tool builder, or whatever the wooden one is. You don't need the metal one. So Damascus steel, for many reasons, is now essentially obsolete compared to the bloodwood. Although I might still use it from time to time. Maybe it's certainly not obsolete altogether. Like you still need, you can't. I mean, bloodwood armor is not going to be viable, but Damascus steel also might have some aesthetic qualities that I might be interested in. So definitely keep it around. But I'm going to try to wrap this episode up, guys. I know you've been patient. I did figure out how to use the sign, by the way. You can shift right click on it, and you can put these objects in it here. You can space them apart. You can type a message in. It's actually a pretty useful thing to do. So that's why we did it. I'm just going to run up here and see if there's any more saplings from that jungle wood. I don't think so. Okay, well, I guess we'll wait for that next one to grow. We're in pretty good shape, guys. We've got our bloodwood going. We've got our smeltery going. And, now that we've got bloodwood, actually, and now that we've got a smeltery, I can actually make a crossbow or, some other tools with the bloodwood that I'm going to want and need, like a lumber axe or like a, what's it called? Is it a harvester? The one that harvests sand? I can't remember what that thing's called, but it's useful, or probably most useful of all is the hammer. We're definitely going to be creating a hammer. I think I'll make an iron hammer. I really should make a bloodwood hammer, though. It's actually stronger than iron, and it's easier to repair, but maybe I'll start with an iron one and upgrade it. Anyway, if you've been watching, thank you. Just remember to check out the next episode. Next time, we're going to do some more advancements, so check us out. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time on Let's Play Blightfall.